Mos Eisley Spaceport.
And so it begins on some very colourful base plates. Okay, so this is the layout I've come up with. It's a bit of a compromise because I've had to cut some down and move the bar around. The bar is not exactly as I would like it, but it's not bad either. Up this end, I wanted to get the stairs and this other dome entry area in. And it's a little bit tricky, as you can see, for the hinge and this curve piece. Not a lot I can do about that, but leave it as it is. The good thing is the thing that I want to show is, I took obviously this wall away so that you can see through. I looked up these seats and they're exactly accurate as in my complete locations book, which I'll show you in a minute. So that's really nice. I'm going to chop this arch down so that be a partial cutaway so you can see clearly just having some bricks there, and I didn't think it looked that nice. The booths I thought fitted in quite nice, and it gives a good overall look at the cantina. And you've got plenty of room out the front to show off some of the tables that come out. Then you've obviously got the bar that comes into this bit. Oh, I should tell you, look, I had to put in Han and Greedo. I couldn't see this without any minifigures, just looking at it all the time, so I've put them in there straight away. Greedo's got his gun out, pointing at Han. Han, we can't really have it under the table unless I change that table. That means I'd have to change all the tables. Maybe I'll do that, actually, make it a bit more accurate. I'm not sure. It might not fit, though, because of the elevation of the chairs and everything. But I did change the chair slightly. I don't know whether you would actually see it, but he's actually got one leg slightly down lower than the other to make him sort of like having a more lounged effect. But yeah, I love seeing them in there. It's a fantastic bit of the scene, obviously one of the biggest parts of the scene of the cantina. But yeah, going back to this bar, I tried all sorts of things. I tried it this way, up against here, in the middle. It really wasn't working anyway. And it kind of leans itself, because you got this back bit, it makes absolute sense that it needs to be against a wall. I want it to have room this way for figures, and I want it to have room this way for figures, because along here is the lightsaber incident and also the cantina band, which will go in here. You can only fit 3 of them in here, and I want to do all 5. So I've come up with a cunning plan, as Baldrick would say. The first thing I thought about was putting the band in the whole lot of this, but I thought that wouldn't look that great compared to the original part. But what I can do is use some sort of archway here and extend this booth so that this isn't the right arch. I'll probably end up using that arch because it's bigger. But then the band can come out further, and it will make more sense because you'll see the band. They'll be in there slightly as well, but then their whole booth is slightly extended. As you can see, there's quite a little bit of work that I need to do to change the original structure so that it fits flush up against there, possibly down behind that. I haven't looked at that bit. There's quite a bit of work that needs to be done on here. I want to extend those stairs. And the main bit is I don't want that handrail sitting up against there. I want to build it into this wall. I know it's inaccurate, and that is my trade-off really for the space I want, for the large amount of space. I don't think I can put this wall onto that wall because the handrail will stick through and go into Greedo's back. What I'll probably end up doing is just hiding that part of the handrail in the wall, but things change all the time, so let's see how it goes. But yeah, I'm happy with the layout. Now I've got to work on some of the more structural details, and then obviously the finer details as we go. So I'll catch you in a bit. This is what I've managed so far. I have pretty much done, or so it looks like, but no, there's quite a bit more to do. On the base, you can see I've put a lot of these jumper plates. I've stood the figures, if you like, and got the plates in the right places. There's quite a few over here, and obviously the seats don't need to really do anything with that. We still have Han and Greedo there, but yeah, everything is ready for the figures. Well, kind of. the floor needs to go down first of all, of course. I've also prepared this little stage area for the Cantina band. So we have studs for the various members. Now I've got 5 of them, and I'll show you them just a second. This little area here I haven't filled in because you don't see it. Somebody will stand there, so I just didn't make it. I've used these plank effect bits, and I think they look rather good. They don't make them in different shapes and sizes, so some of the areas I've just had to fill in with the nougat tiles, but you don't really notice anyway. So you see these little bits that all stick out, so I've managed to get the planks on the end. So what I'm going to do now is fit this into place and also put all the tiles down that's needed to finish off this flooring. And then I have some other bits that I want to do. I want to do some wording at the back there like I did with my Tantive mock. But maybe some of you out there might guess what I want to put in there. But if you don't, you'll see at some point quite soon. It won't be quite soon for me, but it will be for you with the clips following each other. One thing I nearly forgot to show you were these shisha pipe apparatus that sits on either side of the bar. And if you know the scene, you'll know the types of people that will be smoking these. I'm pretty pleased with those, to be honest. They're quite simple, but I think they add a lot to the bar look and will make it more accurate. Whether I've done the minifigures justice, I don't know, but you'll see that in a bit as well. When you look down onto the floor that I've created, you can see the patterns that I put in there with the dark grey bits just to break it up. I'm very glad I also made these stairs a lot wider. I think that gives it the entrance that the cantina deserves there. And there will be a figure on there, and there will be some figures up the top here, so it'll separate the heights of the floors. You can also see these jumper plates, a few are a little higher, and that is so that I can elevate a few figures to give the illusion that they're taller. One very particular one right there, another one over the back there, and a couple here. Basically I'm copying the film with the figures that I can make wherever I can. I've had to add a lot of extra figures that are not in the film from other themes, basically aliens and things like that, just to make it fill out the cantina. This is a hive of scum and villainy. So I knocked these words up last night and this morning. They took me probably about 3 or 4 hours, and they were so much quicker to create than my boarding tantive, because with those words they had to be kind of exact and all the same and equally spaced. Here I could just whack them in any old how to make it look kind of rickety, and it's also got a bit Hollywoody signy about it, so, or that's how I think. The one thing that I had a major problem was, and I wanted to do it this way, was this O, and I can't find any clip to keep it in place, so I used just basically a little wall, if you like, just to hold it in place. I was playing around with, sometimes it stays, sometimes it doesn't. I was playing around with pushing the aerial bit in to hold it, but actually, there you go. It stayed there, and I was really happy to make that in that way. I didn't want to do it in any other way. I really like that. I know in the V's I've got the cross bit, but I don't think that's a problem. I think it still looks quite good. I love my eyes with the dots above them. Yeah, and I love the way that they're all, some are set back, some are forward, some are higher, some are lower. I just think it really works. So I think the next part is to get some lights in here. And then the final bit will be placing the minifigures on this level, because up here we have minifigures already. So yeah, lights for all 3 levels, I guess now. Let's do that. As I'm fixing all this wiring in, I thought I would just show you how much you have to go through to get all these different lights wired in, because there's just wires everywhere. In this little bit I've got 2 lights, and no, I haven't. I've got 3 lights, because that little orange one on the outside, or yellow one on the outside should I say, and then this bright white that looks blue to me through the viewer, but it is bright white, and then a warm white one on the side. So that's 3 lots of wires. As you can see on the outside there's a wire there, inside there's just wires everywhere, and then they all have to go somewhere, so they've gone down this gap right at the back, and look what they connect into there. It's just wires everywhere here, and I've managed to just hook that above the cantina band's head, so you don't really see it from down here. The tiles are holding this connector board right above their heads, right at the roof level, and you've got to clip the tiles over to hold it up almost, and then basically all this wiring that's along the back here is all pressed up against the backboard and hidden. So don't let anybody tell you that this lighting up a mock especially is easy, because it isn't. It takes ages, or it takes me ages, and I can't imagine that anybody else is going to take significantly quicker, because you're trying to work out where the wires are going all the time without crushing them too much. And I do crush them, so you know, they could give way, I guess. But it is brilliant when the full effect is finished at the end and you've achieved something and got it all wired in with hopefully as little seen as possible of the wires. So yeah, you will see the finished product very soon, but at the moment I just wanted to show you me struggling to get in some of these, and I've got still another 4 or 5 to fit of these little table lights all over the place. So yeah, that is what I'm struggling along with now. Game of Bricks strip lighting. Oh my, what a mess. But let's see what effect it gives us.
How long have you had these, Troy?
About 3 or 4 seasons.
They're up for sale if you want them.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification. These aren't the droids we're looking for.
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.
I can't understand how we got by those troops. I thought we were dead.
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
How hard can it be to stand one figure on one stud? Hooray! Unfortunately, he won't fit in that chair any other way. He's a big figure with a lot sticking out of the back. But I think he looks alright in there. So in the end, I had way more figures than I needed, and I could have just kept going with this, adding figures everywhere. There's some really cool ones in here, but now they're in situ. It's quite hard to film them, like the little alien guy at the back there. I've actually practiced with where I was going to put these, and then it completely changed as I filmed it. So yeah, I suddenly realised I've got this guy here who comes with the Anakin and Freako Speeder. I can't remember his name, but he's a native to that ice planet, and he looks just like the guy that you see with the big tooth, the big furry guy. So he might be the same species, I'm not sure, but he fitted in perfectly with the other, the Biths, or whatever these musicians are over here. But he's not a musician, this one, he's just the same species, of course. Then, of course, we've got a Cad Bane guy here. I think that's the Cad Bane, actually. And the other guy is just the same species, and they're having a bit of a laugh and a joke. Han and Greedo are sitting back in their booth there. They're chilling all this time because I couldn't get them back in and out. Well, I could, but it became a pain. And because I wanted Han to be ultra relaxed there, I just left him in there. The same with the band at the back there. That was very, very difficult. It took me about 30 times to get them all in, and you don't really see the two at the back there. I tried to film it, but it wasn't working. There's a random insect guy here, and there's two, again, very difficult to film. There's a mind flayer with his pet, whatever that is, that pink thing, blob, brain. And there's another guy there, and I can't remember what he's from, with the orange tentacle-y face. And I thought those two fitted in well, this booth here. This is the guy that's speaking to Ben Kenobi right at the beginning, before he starts speaking to Chewbacca and he's walking away. Now, I know the events in here wouldn't make sense because he was long gone by the time the Sand Troopers arrived, but I had one scene to fit them all in. I have one guy that I might still add to this, and that is right as you walk in, I'll put it up on screen, there's a guy sitting there, quite an oldish guy with a bald head, apart from a monk type haircut. That's what he reminds me of, actually. Dishevelled monk. But I'm going to use the Harry Potter, and I don't know the name. He would fit in perfectly there for that scene. And then I had an Umbaran head, and he fitted perfectly on the blue spaceman there. We've got another Rhodian, a few other bits and bobs here sitting around. I mean, these three seem to be having quite a good time. This guy's looking very bemused here. And that little guy, I think he's called Cabe, reaching up for his drink. It looks a long way above him at the bar. So these two sisters are smoking, or one of them smoking the sheesh pipe at the bar. The other one's got a drink. You've got the grumpy bartender, Woo-Ha, or almost reluctantly, it seems, giving Luke a drink. And Luke is just about to get into a bit of an argument with these two guys. But yeah, these two guys are about to go for Luke. And of course, good old Ben will step in there after he's finished with Chewie here. And then this guy here, very tall, and that was what I was alluding to much earlier. I've put him on some plates to raise him up. Again, I don't even think you can see that very well. He's quite a lot taller, and I needed him to be a lot taller, so I think that worked out quite well. And I haven't even talked about these lights. Look at all these lights. It's just made it come alive, really. And I love the backlit scum and villainy. Thank you so much, MixABrix, for supplying these lights. Your lights bring these displays that I create and many other people create, actually, to another level, really. It's very cliched, but it brings the Lego alive. Without it, if I turn the lights off, look at this without it. Now, I'm not saying it's bad, because it's not, but it doesn't have the same impact. It really doesn't. I think once you put those lights on and see the difference, it's night and day.
Eagle-eyed viewers will notice there is a little change here, and that is this grey tile here. Now, this is just a placeholder for a tan plate, which will be printed with a shop name. It's not obvious, but you might well be able to guess. Answers on a postcard or down in the comments is absolutely fine as well.
Yeah, I'm absolutely chuffed with the result that these lights do for the Lego. So thank you very much, MixABrix. I do have an affiliate code if you want to use it, a coupon, and you get 25% off of any order you place with MixABrix. So guys, this is the end of the tier 3 video of the Hive of Scum and Villainy, the Cantina basically, from A New Hope. One more thing I forgot to add is I've got some extra lighting in there, as you might be able to see, and that is just some strip lighting that is set behind the rim of the door. I am trying to find a way to hide the wires and have extra lighting all the way round to give it that daylight look. But yeah, I'm just experimenting with that at the moment, so this is what I've settled on, but we'll see because it's not quite there yet. The great thing about this built in this unit now is I can transport this very easily to conventions and exhibitions that I want to display it at, along with my board in the Tantive, my clone display, and hopefully very soon the Arc 170, which I'm hoping to get all 4 of them to Bricktastic in February, because that is a big one that I want to display these at. So I hope you've enjoyed watching the creation of this build in this Besta cabinet. That being said, you know what I'm going to say next. Thank you very much. Cheers for watching. Please do like and subscribe. Cheers one and all.